Today, Framed is taking you to Africa, where this photographer is changing the world with one click at a time. Hey everyone, I'm Melissa New and welcome to this week's episode of Framed. So each of us are given talents and some of us might wonder how we can give back. Well, this photographer and his family have dedicated almost everything that they have to these amazing people in Africa and their incredible stories.
I feel like this is a good opportunity to tell you a little bit about myself. Starting with the one thing that everyone looks at that defines who we are. My car. This is our 97 4Runner. 230,000 miles and going strong. Starting to show a bit of wear, but it's paid for. And we decided last year clients don't hire us for our sweet ride, but for our work. So we'll drive her until she's dead. This is our house. It's 1,100 square feet of to-dos, but it's ours. My wife, Lauren. She's definitely my better three-quarters. She's an amazing mother and wife. She's also super tough. This is my firstborn, Parker Ashton. Now, I believe that everyone has the ability to change the world. I believe someday he'll actually do it. He says he'll be the first to invent real rocket boots, and I believe him. I figure I can use them at weddings until Uncle Bob gets a pair. This is our second-born. I named him Poet. The definition of poet is one who is especially gifted in the perception and expression of the beautiful, and that's my hope for him, to see and express beauty. And bubbles. Lots of bubbles. 3 random facts you probably don't know about me. 1. I'm an introvert. I can be totally immersed in the conversation and crowd for as long as it takes and love it, but then I have to hide. Number 2. When I was 25, I had little doubt that by age 32, I would look exactly like Brad Pitt did during his Legends of the Fall era. I'm still waiting. Number 3. Leaving my family is the hardest thing about my life. Nearly 10 years ago, Kevin and Claire Kubota photographed our wedding. It was the first time I saw the power of the lens, and it united me with 2 of my inspirations, my wife and my Kubotas. But my greatest inspiration, that comes from my faith. It's the faith that led me into my marriage, my business, and it propels me to travel the world to photograph those whose voices need to be heard. It's that faith that tells me I don't have to settle for a success defined by the tangible. It's that faith that tells me that success, true success, is often that which can't be touched, but rather felt. My name is Benjamin Edwards. I'm really glad to meet you.
I worked at the college here in Bend, Oregon for about 6 years. I got a phone call from a photographer who lived not far from here. He said, "What would it take for you to come and work for me?" And I was blown away. I mean, it was a chance of a lifetime. And I told him what it would take, and he said, okay, and I got to leave my day job for my passion. I remember I had my first opportunity through a friendship to travel to Estonia. I remember it very clearly. I was in a school in Estonia with this gentleman having a conversation that in this one particular village in Uganda, these people had been totally ravaged by the LRA, the Lord's Resistance Army, but they couldn't even afford hoes and rakes and things to plow. But they didn't have the money to even buy the seed. And I said, well, how much does a hoe cost? And he said, $3. $3. It's interesting when people say, well, how can I change the world? I'm just one person, what can I do? You can absolutely change the world. I believe that every single person was born with not just one gift, but like a set of gifts that if they use those gifts, they can absolutely change the world. I decided I had to go on this trip. And I was blessed that some funding came through and they were able to take us on this trip, the first trip to Africa. And also Lauren, my wife, was able to come and sing in the band. She's an amazing vocalist.
Long for heaven and home.
It was amazing to share that journey together as a couple. So I remember very clearly being in the front yard with Lauren just sitting on the grass, and I said, you know what, I think we should take out a second mortgage on our house and build a well for one of these villages that we're going to. Because of that, thousands upon thousands of people now have access to clean drinking water. We actually got to go to the ribbon cutting, and of course nobody knew that we had done it. And they just randomly picked somebody from the crowd to come and cut the ribbon, and it happened to be Lauren.
I loved the opportunities that the camera gave me to get into somebody's life. Not as much of a photographer as Ben is. I use it a little bit more as just a way to be creative and a way to facilitate a relationship. When you really look at it in the right light and put the experiences that I have been so blessed to have next to the stuff that I could have had, there really is no sacrifice. The most significant relationship that I've walked away from Africa with is that with Mama Naomi. I don't know if Ben has talked about her at all. She's a woman that actually lives in Rwanda, and from the fallout of the genocide, she is now basically just trying to take care of about 5,000 different children. And she just travels from village to village, trying to put them in foster homes, trying to make sure they're fed, trying to raise school fees for them. Such a Mother Teresa in her heart, and I just so look up to her life and the sacrifices that she's made and the stories that she tells me of her kids, all 5,000 of them, has really made a huge impact on my life and made me realize that one person can be so incredibly powerful. I want to be that kind of person. I've watched Ben grow so much over the last 4 years, and I look at his photography, and I think it's really natural for a wife to just think her husband is amazing and all that, and I'm one of those wives. I think that my husband is amazing and all that. It's made our life such a huge adventure, and that's definitely something that I wanted since I was little. I didn't want the regular, ho-hum, predictable type of life. I want the adventure, and I'm so blessed to have a husband who wants that too, and who uses his gift.
Being a photographer, it's just a natural way that I can give back. When I go and I come back, I realize how blessed I am, and that I live in a castle. My life is fairy tale. And the interesting thing about that is they don't have this desire for stuff. They just have a desire to live. None of us are defined by what we have. It's who we are. Who I am is not just a photographer. I almost have to go at least once a year on these trips so that I stay grounded and remember that life is relational. World Relief, an incredible organization that does amazing work on the ground in many different countries. We've seen some really hard things. We've been to some of the most dangerous countries in the world. Have interviewed many, many different victims of rape. Probably one of the hardest that we photographed and interviewed a 5-year-old little girl in the Congo who was a victim of rape. Man.
And this is a catastrophe that people like me don't have food to eat. And this is an emergency. Our love is all we need. Don't you know?
Their society looks at that and says that she's no good, and they cast her away. It's great to be able to travel to Africa. It's amazing to go with an organization like World Relief. Humanitarian aid work, seed distributions, they do disaster response, they do a lot of follow-up things, working with local churches to build up the local community to provide sustainability. The amazing thing is that when we document that work and we bring it home, it inspires other people to get involved. I want people to know they can get involved in their own communities. And if they get the opportunity to travel the world, awesome. As you pull up in a van, most of the time these children know you're coming. And they see the van and they get all excited and they just absolutely swarm you. And they want to touch you, they want to feel you to see if your skin is like their skin. Beautiful, big, giant smiles. They love to see the cameras, they love to see technology. We were working in a village that had been cleared out a month before by a rebel group. The village was basically empty, so World Relief came in and at that point it's an emergency situation and they helped them. Like anything, I think the greatest fear is just the unknown. Every once in a while we'd hear gunfire off in the distance. We went to bed and about an hour later there was a knock on the door. They sat us all down and said, well, we've got a problem. One of the rebel groups is going to retaliate tonight. They're going to attack. So we elected to stay. I'll never forget laying in bed, fully clothed, ready to leave, wondering if I was ever going to see my family again. And about 4:20 in the morning, all hell breaks loose. Just massive amounts of gunfire, heavy artillery down in the valley. And I thought, that's it. It looked very real, a real possibility that I might not see my family again. There were a couple of very real moments there for me. We were safe the whole time. We were safe. But every day those people live under those circumstances, and many of them aren't safe. I know I'm supposed to go out and make a difference. This is my gift that I can share with the world. Help tell the story of those who are vulnerable and need somebody to stand with them. We shouldn't be scared of each other. I shouldn't say, you know what, you're a photographer, I'm a photographer. I don't want to tell you anything because you're going to steal my clients. We formed a nonprofit, Emote 360. And Emote's whole goal is to inspire, connect, and empower media people, come together and use their talents to make a difference. I went to Africa to help people and to come home and hopefully inspire other people to get involved. There's an amazing domino effect or cycle that happens when we fall into who we are meant to be. I call it the inspiration effect.
We can change the world. Oh, we can change the world. We can do anything. We can change the world. We can do anything with love.
I've seen in my own life what can happen when we embrace who we were meant to be and go out there and just be ourselves. Don't fall into the pit of comparison. Comparison just makes us stop in our tracks. It makes us want to be something that we're not meant to be. It provides for an amazing amount of resistance. And when we feel resistance, we slow down, and sometimes we stop. It's the simple things that we completely overlook now. Life is meant to be relational. Don't get caught up in thinking that you don't have what it takes to give back, or you don't have the right gear to give back, or, oh, if I just had this, then I would give back. It's so difficult to put into context what you experience over there. If my goal was to go out and be the busiest, most successful wedding photographer in the world, I wouldn't be able to go on these trips. My name is Benjamin Edwards, and I have been framed.
Every one of us walked away from this in tears because none of us have any excuse to not give back somehow in our communities. Benjamin, you and your amazing wife are truly an inspiration. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for what you are doing. And if any of you viewers have anything that you are doing that's giving back, please, we'd love to hear about it. Next week, a special season 1 finale with a real live action hero and some footage you don't want to miss. And there's another photo contest and giveaway going on now, so head to frameshow.com for the details.